Exactly.
We can start.
Okay, sir. So we are live now. So hello, everyone. Ragini, this is Ragini. Welcome to another episode of our Campus Care at Talk. So I, Ragini, your host for the show, would like to welcome you all in this Ed Talk. It is a platform where all the educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to the education and society. So I would like to welcome our educators. First of all, Mr. Shubham Jain, Chief Mentor, Rishi Galaf Public School. So welcome, sir. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Ram. I'm good. I'm good. How are
Okay.
you?
I'm totally fine. Thank you so much, sir. Then we have with us Shashank Bhattacharya, sir, who's the acting principal of Sunbeam Group of Educational Institute, Varanasi. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for this platform, and I'm looking forward for some fruitful discussion. And
Definitely.
it is a good platform. I met some of your people there in Delhi. I think Vishakha I met there in
Ji.
Delhi while we were there both, with the DWPS. So people are doing wonderful job. Let's see what we can add it to them.
Definitely, sir. We are too looking forward for a very healthy discussion. And then we have Brajesh Kanungu, sir, who's the principal of Vidya Kunj International School, MP. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Ravini.
Ji. So, just taking forward our further conversations, I think we can have a discussion about certain things. So, sir, like our topic for this webinar is, just let me check this
The
out.
inclusion of
Ji,
and
right,
special
sir.
education. It's about
So just hold on for a second. Mehak, महक ये ऊपर नहीं जा रहा है व्हाट्सएप वाला जल्दी करो मुझे क्वेश्चंस देखने हैं मैंने म्यूट करके रखा है ये वाला Okay, sir. So let us know your viewpoints about certain questions, such as like what are the key provisions in the national education policy, like regarding the inclusion and special education.
Ma'am, in case, if you permit me, I will start one quote. I found this one very close to this topic. Inclusion is a
ये
sense
वाला
of
क्लिक करके
belonging, feeling
जी
respected,
अभी कर रही हूँ
valued for who you are, feeling a level of supportive energy and commitment from others so that you can do your best work. It's by Miller and Katz. So we are talking about NEP 2020 and inclusion. This education point, if I'm not mistaken, we were there. It was there earlier also, but it was like the challenges were not there because students were categorized into different schools. We had only one or two institutions in our city, if I'm not mistaken, for people those who are visually impaired or maybe oral or the speech problem. But now NEP is bringing it all together at one platform so that the discrimination part is completely removed. People start talking about other, people start respecting others. The students from the very beginning start respecting others. So this
ये
policy
थोड़ा
actually
स्पीच नहीं होता है
recommends
क्योंकि मैं
inclusion and
काफी
equal
दिखाऊंगा
participation of CWSN, that is,
ठीक है
child with special needs across all stages of school education, and to that end endorses a whole school approach to inclusion such as resourcing school complexes and resource centers, engagement of special educators, capacity building of teachers and special educators teaching. So we will go through all these points because first of all, teachers need to be educated, first of all,
Right.
to make the things because now the teachers will be catering to the needs of the special need students and to the normal kids also. So I'll start with that. Now let's hear from other also what's their take on this one.
Definitely. Shivam sir, what would you like to
Uh,
say about this? Your views?
Broadly, if we talk broadly, going in detail is quite it's not possible in such a short duration. So if we talk broadly, I would like to cover few main points which are covered in this inclusive education in NEP. The very first point is the appointment of special educators, trained special educators. Although getting a good special educator, trained one, very few courses are available in our country now because, to deal with such special children. But now in NEP, there are provisions where the courses to train the teachers for becoming a special educator, those who can sensitize the other teachers also to empower them how to deal with such students, such children who are differently able. Fine. Besides, there are provisions like special education zones, which will be like focusing on a special socio-economical disadvantaged group in the cities. Fine. So they will
That is,
the
sir, I think that is
provisions
the
are
special
there to
zone identified. Those zones are identified.
social economical
Social.
disadvantaged groups are there. Yes.
Hmm.
And which will more be focusing on girl child category. Fine, because dropout ratio of girls are very much if we compare with boys. Besides additional introduction of Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, Kendra Vidyalaya, and Kasturbha Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya, strengthening them, providing hostel facilities to underprivileged kids in the SDGs and bridging courses so that the students which are there in the not very educationally active place, they can bring up to the level of the normal children which are there in the cities and those who are getting good resources.
Right.
I think, sir, if I sum it up, these are the points actually we are looking forward for socio-economical disadvantaged groups. Now, under this one, of course, we start with the gender identities. That is the first thing, wherein female number is always less than the male number when we talk about education. And in special education, it's of course it is more. I mean, it is less. Then NEP 2020 and before this also, and the new category also had been given. That is the transgenders, because every child has the birthright to get education. When we talk about the socio-cultural identities, which is we are talking about the SC, ST, other backward classes and minorities. Then we have another group called geographical identities, wherein we have villages and small towns. And then we are looking for the disabilities like dyslexia, cerebral palsy, and psychomotor problems, and all those things while we are talking about. And then socioeconomic condition. Socioeconomic condition, of course, when we are talking about the money. So, these people should be given scholarship, and money should be, so fund has to be accumulated. So these are the yes, these are the parts which are for the inclusion.
Okay, so I think we already have some of the points that these are the problems, but one of the interrelated questions, like what measures does this NEP propose to promote inclusive education for students from marginalized backgrounds? जैसे कि I think Shashank sir was also mentioning something like socio-economic and people from this special like disabilities and the SC, STs, etc. So like if you could suggest any measures, what are the like
Actually, ma'am, Agini ma'am, there are recommendations from the NEP, and those recommendations are like CAWSN, children with special needs. So we'll have to have the mechanism, like how they will hold the book. Then we have the chapters which are, if the child is not able to, the vision problem is there, maybe partial, the child can see, or maybe the child cannot see at all. Then we have those recorded chapters, and CBSE also is bringing and giving the recorded chapters. Teachers also can record the chapters, and the students can listen to those chapters and it their pace. Then we have the special education zones. So that is SEDG, we will have to find out, identify those special education zone where these number of people are more and we have to help them. When gender inclusion fund, a gender inclusion fund is funding for the girls and funding for the transgenders wherein they don't get the money to go for higher education. So for higher education, these two things are important. Plus, Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalayas. This is a chain of school which actually look after the girl education and I mean, most of the girls get higher education and good quality education in this one. Because we are not only talking about inclusion as per the disability. The disability disadvantages are for the gender also.
right?
Then we have Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas, Kendriya
Absolutely.
Vidyalayas. These are like rapidly growing schools where Navodaya Vidyalayas, where the children cannot afford to go to those private schools and pay the fee amount and all that, but they are meritorious students. So these schools are coming up, and for that they are catering the need of this. If you see the result of that one, you will get to see that all these students do very well in their upcoming future.
No, rightly said, sir. They are really like uplifting the education. I think they are just providing, helping in the betterment of education. So also like we have Brijesh sir. Would you like to add something, Brijesh sir?
Yeah, sure, Ragini. Could you please repeat the question? Actually, there were some
जी
technical
जी
issues. I couldn't listen the
बिल्कुल
question
बिल्कुल
properly.
sir. Like sir, what measures does the NEP propose to promote this inclusive education for students from marginalized backgrounds?
Okay, okay. So just now, as Shashank sir firstly included, it is GIF, Gender Inclusive Fund. Moreover, for NEP, I would like to mention one specific thing that from para 6.10 to para 6.14, these paras are specifically meant for the for putting the education about the CWSN category children and the students belonging to SEDGS category, that is socio-economical disadvantaged groups, as sir just now mentioned.
जी
So there are specific provisions because the when the NEP was discussing, the biggest issue was if this kind of challenged students are very few. So certainly the private organization will not means they will be reluctant to provide a sufficient proper facility to very few of the students. Economically, it will be not good for these schools. So that's why government included some of the funds, some of the facilities. The first one was mentioned is the GIF, that is Gender Inclusion Fund. As Shashank sir mentioned, it is not only including the girls' child, moreover, it is including the transgenders, moreover, it is specifically mentioning the sanitization, toilets, bicycles, conditional cash transfers, other things as well. In essence of this policy, I must say, In essence, this policy aims to eliminate any remaining disparity in access to education for socio-economic disadvantaged groups. Moreover, free boardings are there in inclusion, as sir said about Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas, more Kendriya Vidyalayas, Kasturba Vidyalayas. Specifically, NEP is quoting the right of persons with disability, that is RPWD Act 2016. Now it is going to be mandatory for all the schools. Means schools cannot deny the admissions with challenged students. They must be there. Government is making schools comfortable that if they are providing admissions to such candidates, CWSN children, government is certainly there to help the schools as well. I think Shashank sir want to quote
He
something.
has something to
No,
say.
no, sir. Actually, there are so many. NEP has started with so many abbreviation and acronym. So RP, would you use the one
RPWD.
RW? Yes.
RPWD.
So that
The
is
right of
right
right of
for
person
the
with
person.
disability.
Yes, disability. And I
The
wanted to
right of
quote
person with disability.
the last few points that I wanted to quote. NIOS, that is National Institute of School, they have even asked sign languages should be included as a third language in the school, and because if it is Indian Sign Language, that is ISL. So Indian Sign Language should be included, and this way the children will be able to understand. The second point, which is important, is every school should have a special educator so that the person can rehabilitate and educate. He can be useful for the education needs of disabled people. Then we have technology. Technology is going to be very, very crucial. It has a very crucial role in today's education, not only just because it is here and we are using it because of the COVID, but it is also important that how a keyboard, like the keyboards are big keyboards are there for visually impaired people. There are letters which are engraved on the keyboard keys so that you can touch and you can understand that this is letter A and you can take your time to write down all these things. And the last one is Parak. Again, one abbreviation. Does anyone has to say anything about Parak?
I am unaware of this.
So,
Okay. Now,
Correct is
Parak,
there. Correct is there.
basically, is
performance
basically a
assessment
national
review.
assessment center.
Yeah,
National assessment
performance
center,
assessment
which will
review.
ensure that accessible assessment guidelines will be framed.
Yeah, so this is actually the abbreviation of performance assessment review and analysis of knowledge for holistic education. That is a Parak. So Parak is a very important point because and another very important point is exit courses are also included in the higher education. Exit courses are like at any point of time, a child who feels that I have completed these many months or maybe this year, that child need not to, and the child understand that I cannot pursue education further. The child can take that many years degree and move out of the school and start the job. This is also one of the points which has been
So, sir, like
there.
we as audience got to know a lot of keywords. Like it's giving us a quite clear picture. Ki government has definitely come up with certain initiatives. So again, interrelated questions like how does this NEP ensure that students with special needs receive appropriate support and accommodations in the classroom?
That is initially NEP 2020. One of the provision is non-discrimination in school. Accessible infrastructure. Now, accessible infrastructure means nowadays, if you CBSE has already asked most of the schools to have lift facility because many of the students cannot go onto the top floor or second floor. Then, in case the school does cannot have those many, lift installed, then there is a slanting road or the slanting path which you generally see in the hospitals,
Yes, like
because then the
people
staircases are
with
not.
disabilities, we
Yes,
have that sliding
Basically, ramp,
thing so that they
yes,
ramp,
can
the
travel.
slider
ramp,
is
ramp,
there,
ramp,
so that
ramp.
the wheelchair people can easily walk with the wheelchair, and these students should be monitored. Then the mainstream means they should be given more time. If a normal child is given, say, 2 days to complete a work, then the other child, because you have to see the pace, the child has to take his own pace. You cannot force the child to complete it in 2 days or 3 days. The child will get his or her own pace. Then the requirements will be lab tests. The tests which are kept on, this is a question based test, which is based on the need. And people can keep it, and they can keep the books with the and they can study. There is a standing desk, there is a comfortable sitting arrangement also. It has to be done. Then we have the electronic dictionary, online dictionary or electronic dictionary, which is very, very important role to play. Then you have a calculator. So simple mathematics, the children can calculate and they can learn. Right. There's one example I need to tell you that one of the child, I just also got to know this information that these children, you need to make them understand in a very, very you need to take a lot of time to make them understand. One of the child was given 10 rupees and was asked thoroughly for 7 days that you take this 10 rupees and then you go to a shop and purchase a chocolate. You will get this chocolate worth this 10 rupees. After 7 days, the child went to the shop and he purchased the chocolate. He brought the chocolate. The very next day, the teacher gave two 5 rupee coin to the child and said, purchase the same chocolate. Go and purchase the chocolate. The child said, we want that 10 rupee. Because the child cannot understand those 5 rupee coin are two coins are also 10 rupees. So it has to be, there's a lot of patience which is required from the teacher, from the management, from the school, so that they can start learning with their own pace.
So
So, Bamsar,
basically, like, so
other,
you're trying to say that like children, students with special abilities are given special treatment and extra time from the teachers.
yes, yes, ma'am. And then we already aware of it. The braille is also there now. Braille was once part of a visually impaired school. Now the braille books should be available in normal school also, because we are going to cater the needs of the student, those who are visually impaired and those who are normal kids. So these kids are sitting in your class and you will have to give them the same kind of attachment, the same kind of treatment. So bail is another point which has to be used. Then for making, as you know, the children, small children, they learn a lot of things seeing the pictures, graphics. So that you have certain modules, so you can place this and you can use those building blocks to represent a lot many symbols and all that. So all these things needed to be the part of the school, when only the school can function. And one very important part is every school, as I start from the beginning, every school should have one special educator. I mean, maybe would also request maybe the government, so that the BA teachers a special session to teach specially able students as well. Because all the BA teachers should have that kind of session.
Okay, so like Shashank sir has got into notice like that kind of infrastructural changes that are being incorporated in the schools for these kind of students. So also, just like we have Shubham sir and Rajesh sir. So would you like to throw some light on this? Like how can we provide appropriate support to these kind of students? मतलब हम इनको क्या special इनकी जो special needs होती हैं, how can we support them?
To whom you want to ask?
Ji, Brajesh sir, we'll start with you. Like if you have anything to say with on this.
Okay, Sashank sir has given a detailed information about the infrastructure. Practically, I'm having one problem in my school. I'm having one this kind of case in class 7. Uh, the issue is whatever infrastructure or building facilities we are providing, it is merely the physical support. The issue is inside the classroom when there are 30 students or 25 students and one such different students. So we need to prepare other students to take this student as the normal one
Right,
with his
right.
disability. So
Absolutely.
because practically whatever regulations, rules and laws we are having, practically it happens. There are many times when the students are alone in the class during the transition timing of the periods. Now, this children must have the proper empathy. This children must other children must have proper understanding that although from outer side this student seems to be normal, but from inner side he is having some disabilities or some issues, and it is normal and it is obvious, and they must consider it as the normal human, because when this kind of kids starts to get bullying from other students, then all the physical facilities become zero,
Absolutely,
and
sir.
mentally if such students if they get disturbed, it really damages them a lot. So that's why even the NEP has done this. NEP, as per the NEP, now the NCRT has got some specific instructions along with the collaboration with national institutes of special childs. Now they are developing a special curriculum, and in curriculum now there is a special inclusion of human values like respect for all, empathy, tolerance, human rights, gender equality, detailed knowledge of various cultures, religions, languages, gender identities, and different things. So that if we'll make our students mentally strong enough to take the disabilities in a normal way, so certainly they'll cooperate with each other, and this peer cooperation will create a different environment, learning environment for disabled students as well. So along with physical infrastructures, NEP is ensuring the empathy and the cultural and the value system also to get boost in normal students, so that they can take the disabled students as the normal part of the society.
Right. I think
I
not
Shubham sir.
think
only like not only on the school level, even हमारा जो college का जो level होता है, universities and like in MBA courses and all, we have this human
exactly.
values. Even like I have studies, तो जैसे कि sir बोल रहे थे, empathizing and all these kind of values like discrimination and all. A child needs to be mentally extremely strong. बिकॉज जैसे कि शशांक सर ने फिजिकल एस्पेक्ट की बातें की, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड ऑल, बट राइटली जैसे ब्रजेश सर ने बोला, इट्स एक्सट्रीमली इम्पॉर्टेंट कि अ चाइल्ड इज मेंटली स्ट्रांग, ही डज नॉट फील डिस्क्रिमिनेटेड when he's sitting among
Correct.
with other students. It's very equally necessary ki they have empathy for the another student, their colleague.
Yeah, agree. No,
Exactly.
actually,
Very true.
this one, the life skill which is happening in all the school. So life skill, counseling, all these are integral part of the education nowadays. So that all the children, they should have respect for each other, regardless of any kind of disability. Okay, so these are the points I've just jotted down. Some of the points which I would like to share. We should admission without discrimination. When a child comes to your school, you should not be discriminating the child as per disability. And these children, if you feel that they only come to study, it is not. There should be some recreational activities, sports facilities should be there, so that they should feel that we can also play, we are also the part of the school. They are not the leftovers. And provision for reasonable accommodation, provision for inclusive environment. Now, another very important point, there is a dwarfism. One of the disability is dwarfism, and the dwarfism is where the height actually stops. Now, these children, you have to make such provisions in the transport so that the child can easily avail the bus, the child can sit on the chair, the toilet, the washrooms, restrooms are created in such a way that those children can use those washrooms. And use of most appropriate languages and modes of communication. This is also very, very important. And then detect specific learning disabilities. This is only the teacher can do. What I understand is when I was taking one class and computer science class, and in class 12, one child was seated. And that was the first class. And he was
I
I
think
think
Shashank
Shashank sir
sir
has got some
may.
technical issue.
Some technical
Shubham sir
logic.
was left to, yeah.
Shubham sir has been waiting since long, sir.
No,
Please.
no,
he
like I
kept
would
on
like to
doing
add
this.
also,
Sorry,
uh,
sir. Actually, the correction. I just sum it up with 1 minute. And he was looking like this. He was reading like this. I would write, and then he will like this. He felt initially, I felt that why is he doing this? When I asked him, but are you like making some fun? He said, no, sir. I read like this. And then I said, why? And he said, that's at the moment I remove my specs, pupil. This is a disability in the eye. Pupil actually it moves like this,
Right. Okay.
right? Like this. And it moves very fast. So the class which he wear, the class keeps the pupil straight. He has to read like this. And today, that's what he should be very well. He is right now working in Washington, D.C. So that, I mean, I understand that that was also a very, and for me, it was a big problem. Studying something, looking at the board and reading those things, it was really a big problem. But yes, detecting problem and solving it, it is the entire work of the teacher. Yeah, Shubham sir, please.
I would just like to add few points. Like there are so many provisions for such children there in NEP, but there is a very strong need of teachers training. All After all, at the end of the day, we are their teachers, principals, aunties in the school, fourth class employees. Everybody are there to help such students and help such children. So there is very strong need of teachers training. uh, like there is a need of inclusion of such topics in the B.Ed course for the students, those who are like doing or looking forward for such courses, and for those teachers also those who are already into education system, those who are already teaching in the school since long time. So we need to train them by the time so that they can be they are able to interact with such students, and they are able to deal with such students those who are not like those who are specially able. Fine. So there is a very strong need to train, to develop these training modules for such teachers to deal with such students, because ultimately human resource is very important,
I
and
think
only human resource will able to cater the needs of 21st century.
I think Nagini ma'am has the next question, which is quite connected with this
Gee,
one.
it is similar to
How
that.
does the how does the NEP ensure that
Assign
students
in
with special
teachers.
needs
Gee.
receive appropriate support and accommodation in the classroom? Now, NEP 2020 says it has introduced short-term specialization courses to teach children with disability with existing framework. These courses are already there. Sign language courses there. People, teacher can back to those courses. They can take up those courses. These are short-term courses, and they can easily take those courses. Okay. The teachers will be given the freedom to choose different tools for teaching as per the needs and requirements of the student. Now, assessing students with disability, these are the ways a teacher can assist. Include a disability statement on your syllabus. Mention that these are the things which are important and these are the ways I will be doing this one in the class. Follow the instruction on the accommodation. How do you accommodate the child in the school so the child feels family environment determination letter, meet the student in private, talking to these students because if they are sitting all together, they have certain issues. They will use their own pace to do this one. So you need to meet them privately also to give them that kind of support that not to worry, you can do it taking your own time. Protect students' privacy, very, very important. Provide a safe and fair learning environment. This is very important. Means this we are talking about all the kids, whether the kids has special need or the kid has no special need. It goes for everyone. And the last but not the least is use student disability services as a resource.
Right, definitely, sir. So, moving on to a further discussions, I would like to know, like, what role does the NEP assign to teachers in implementing inclusive education practices? Like, we can start with Brijesh, sir, I think. Like, what is the role of teachers
Yes, actually,
implementing?
teachers actually in education, certainly teacher is the most important stakeholder. So here NEP suggests that teacher must first help to identify the learning disability of a student, because some when we say disability, physical disability can be identified very clearly and easily, but there are n number of mental disabilities or learning disabilities which are rather difficult for a normal teacher to recognize, because many of us in childhood we might have suffered, or we are observing in our students, many of the students are suffering with the ADHD issue. ADHD is attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Shockingly, the parents are not knowing why their child is not able to
Ji,
focus properly, why he is
Brijesh,
not able.
sorry to interrupt, but I don't know. This is just reminding me of that movie Tare Zameen Par, right? Because like वहाँ पे
that
वो
that
that
I'm just coming to the point,
जी
because the same confusion happened in my school also when I was training my teachers. Tare Zameen Par movie. No, although I mean that was the fantastic movie, and they quoted one specific issue, dyslexia.
right
But
That is
dyslexia is a
dyslexia.
highly
Ah,
technical issue. Apart from
exactly.
dyslexia, in a normal average school, you will see almost 40% of the students suffering with ADHD, with different degrees of ADHD. You will find almost 10% of the students suffering with graphixia, or issuing of writing, handwriting, issues of left brain and right brain, that is left hand and right handed issues. Many of the students, those who make a P in a inverted way, are the mirror images of the words. They are actually not dyslexic students. There are other many issues with these students. So the number one task what NEP assigned to teachers, and the teachers must understand that they must be qualified enough, they must be smart enough to identify exactly what the issue is, what the disability issue is with the student.
right
Secondly, exactly what plan they are having to mitigate this disability issues, and they must know how to use appropriate technology to deal with disabled students. And as Shashank sir said, that disabled students must have their own pace. They are having their own condition to learn the things, and accordingly, teacher must be dynamic enough to give them proper space to learn the things or the concept as per his or her own pace and the comfortability. Teacher must provide means provide a supportive ecosystem to disabled students, and for this, NEP suggests that there must be specific training for the teachers. NEP suggests that there must be appointment for especially trained teachers for this. Now there are provisions in B.Ed and D.Ed degrees as well. M.Ed, there are case studies, so that a common teacher also at least can identify almost about 60% of the mental issues of the students. teacher must be smart enough to deal with the child psychology, with the general psychology, behavior issues, and different things. So I think NEP is doing excellent work, and NEP is giving very excellent guidelines for the teachers. If these guidelines are being followed very seriously by all the teachers and schools, I feel within upcoming 5 or 10 years, the education system will be excellent of India, and we certainly will get excellent results.
Definitely. So, like, sufficient
Right.
training should be provided to the teachers in order to tackle all the needs of the students. And I believe that teachers are the one who spend a major time with the students, because like half of the day they spend with the students. So it is very crucial for them to provide sufficient training in order to train students' mind well.
Ragini
Exactly.
ma'am, Ragini ma'am, I just
Well,
would like to add
जी
one
जी
thing.
sir बोलिए.
This is actually with the ADHD one. This ADHD is actually a kind of syndrome with the child. What happens is when you are teaching the child English, suppose you are teaching the child in English chapter, and you ask the child to write, when the child writes in the copy, in his brain, there are other subjects, all the other subjects, and there will be a lot many answers that will be there in his mind or her mind, and whatever they write, it is completely non-legible. You will not be able to read it at all. That is the ADHD. Second point is when they eat tiffin, they spill everything. Now the point is, CBSE always say, and really don't know why the school never do this one. Wherever ADHD cases are identified at the early stage, to that stage onwards, a record file should be kept, should be maintained, and this record should go to the next class, to the next class teacher and the subject teacher, so that we get to know that yes, this child has these issues and it has to be treated this way. Otherwise, what happened when I came across this particular child with ADHD, he was already in class 10. And till class 10, no one found that he was having this particular problem. Even the father came and said, मेरा लड़का पागल नहीं है, आप लोग गलत बात बोल रहे हैं. But the parents will never take it. See, psychology, when there's a psychological problem, we all have stress. We all have some or the other problem. But I mean, gone are the years. People understand it with all these things. And from the early childhood, I have seen like the counselors, when these kids spill the food everywhere, this counselor sit with them and ask them to finish their lunch every day 1 hour without throwing a single or a smallest morsel anywhere. So that those these are a very important part. And then empathy, it has to be taught to all the kids so that they can understand others' problem. But of course, do not give don't be so kind, because people with special ability don't like to be treated as they know nothing, and they are very they need a lot of help. Don't help them. Tell them how to receive the help. Tell them how to correct themselves,
So
not
basically,
to
sir,
help
आप
them.
कहने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, you should not make them feel like they are being discriminated. Treat them like a normal
True,
child, like जैसे आप हैं,
true.
normal child वाला treatment चाहिए उन लोग को.
बिल्कुल 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 मैम.
Right. Shubham sir, would you like to add something to this? Like, what does this NEP assign to teachers in implementing inclusive education practices? How does like teachers help? क्या role है teachers का?
as I told you, teachers plays a very vital role in the in the needs of NEP. And when we talk about the children, there is very strong need. So, like teachers should understand the challenge which a student is facing, as well as the talent which a student is having. Every student is blessed with a talent. So the talent should be nurtured in a way that the student should come up with those talent and motivated to pursue that talent. Right. Identifying challenge is of one role, and identifying talent is also a very important responsibility of a teacher inside the classroom. And this talent should be nurtured and communicated to the parents and the stakeholders which are there in the school so that the child can go ahead with the talent. A child might be very good not good in studies, but if he is good in music, he might be good in music, art and craft, dance, anything. Right. So if a child is focused towards one of the talent, so he will feel motivated. He will feel very motivated, and he can go ahead with this talent to make his or her career in this field. No matter like if he is not able to go ahead with the academics, but he can go ahead with his talent in this field.
Definitely. So basically, identification of abilities is important.
Along with the
Interest
challenges,
and the
identification of
interest.
talent is very important. Yes.
Right, right. Okay, so moving on, we have one more questions. Like, how does this NEP address the needs of students with disabilities in the mainstream schools? Ji, Bridget, sir.
Ma'am, please could you repeat? Because I'm
Ji,
not
ji,
getting
ji.
this.
So, like, how does the NEP address the needs of students with disabilities in the mainstream schools?
I have certain things which I have noted. Uh, Maybe these students should be allowed to audio record lectures. They should record, because if they are not able to do it as per the pace of other students, they can record that one. The teacher's recording, they can do it. Then they can listen to the recording again and again. Then they can do their self-recording also. So their speech clarity will be there. So first, different people, different measurements and different things need to be taken into consideration. Like when we are talking about people, those who are having difficulty in listening, it is always asked that the teacher should speak, maybe use inbuilt speaker system in the classroom. Nowadays, it is quite handy. People use it in the classroom, and student can, if they are they are not able to take the entire lecture on that specific time. They can record it and they can listen to it later on. Then they can prepare their assignments at their own time, and teachers also check and give them extra time for that one. Encouraging participation is also important, because the student should know that even they speak a little, they do a little, but most of these are for the disabled. When we are talking about the specially able people, activity based learning is one of the finest and the best tool which we use. If we take this one in the KG section, the kids come, they are not aware of anything. So we go with the activity based learning, and the same thing we can do it for the kids also. So that lesson plans should be maintained, made as per their needs.
Yes, now I'm now it is audible.
Ji, sir. Acha, shall I repeat the question, sir? Once, Brijesh, sir.
Please.
Ji, acha. So, like, how does this NEP address the needs of students with disabilities in the mainstream school?
Okay. So the issue with the mainstream schools, like our schools, what Saurabh sir, Shashank sir, and I am dealing with, we are the normal regular schools, and if we are having one or two or 10 this kind of students, even then we are having around 1,000 students who are of different types. So now the task is we have to manage, normal students with disabled students. So
Definitely.
it means an alternative form of schools are encouraged. Means the NEP suggests now the alternative form of schools must be encouraged. This alternative form of schools must preserve their traditional or alternative pedagogical styles, and at the same time they will be supported to integrated the subjects and learning areas prescribed by NCFSE. NCF, I hope you are aware with. Actually, NCF is the base structure what instructed NEP 2020.
Like
So
National
NCF,
Curriculum Framework, if
National
I'm not
Curriculum
wrong.
Framework, yeah.
Ji, ji.
So now we are having NCF, new NCF, and NCF SC is that is National Curriculum Framework with special education. So it also prescribes that now the curriculum should be a bit different with different abled students. The curricula in order to reduce and eventually eliminate the under representation of children from these schools in particular financial assistance will be provided by the government. Uh, in brief, if I say this students means in what way the NEP address the need of students with a disability in the mainstream. NEP suggests that the school must have
सर मैं कर दूंगी please
different curriculum.
because normal time का
NEP
होता है
suggests that
ठीक है
school must train the teachers in such a way
ठीक है
that they must accommodate disabled students with the normal students, and so that the learning atmosphere will be very appropriate for normal students and with disabled students as well. So exactly this is a difficult task because you have to merge two different learnings in the same classroom. So on paper, although NEP has suggested many of the things, but practically I feel it is going to be difficult task.
so basically it's all about managing the human resources.
That's it.
Basically, basically even NEP and government is also looking. They are not looking for a change overnight. They have like extended. Say they are thinking about by 2050, we will be able to. So if we start from today, then only we will be able to. It is not going to happen in 1 year or
Overnight,
2 years.
right?
It will take a lot of time.
Certainly.
And like once a child enrolls in your school, when the child comes in KG, the child spends 13 to 14 years in your school. So that means that 13 to 14 years you have to, guide and you have to maintain everything. Then only you get to know after those 14 years, okay, now this particular child was having this disability and I catered, I gave the help of these things. So then that becomes your resource for other students to come. It is a kind of hit and trial method. Right now, we'll have to go with that only. Hit and trial method we have to do, and we'll have to see to it that the things which click, that the things which will not click. But yes, counselor, special educator, or small courses, these are imperative for all the teachers, all the schools. That's very important.
Right. So we have Shivam sir also. Sir, would you like to add something to this?
Yes, I would like to add that, if we talk about the needs of students with disabilities, so as Shashank sir and Vijay sir right now furnish that provisions of appointment of a special educators with cross disability training, which incorporates disability awareness within the teacher's education. So it is very important. Besides school complexes, they are required to be well equipped with the resources for the integration of children with special needs with the mainstream children. So it is very important for them to integrate both kinds of children. But although it is very difficult, as Vijay sir told, that it is very difficult in practical situation inside the classroom to integrate the such students with the mainstream students, but it is also true that it is the need of an hour so that we can come ahead with the development of such students, the atmosphere for such a student. So it is our responsibility, it is our like teachers' responsibility, schools' responsibility to go ahead and support such type of students and come up with new things, new ideas, so that we can make some good arrangements for such a student.
I think Shubham sir, when I talk about NEP 2020, I think it will take another 10 years for all of us to, see each and everything. It is a kind of Bible which has come up.
10 years,
So
long tenure.
More,
it is
no,
no.
there will be number of changes, number of
Ah,
developments in there.
it is
It will take
because
much more year. Like it might
yes,
take
because
20 years.
we had been in the a kind of situation that we did this way, and this uh, I mean NEP 2020 came after so many years. I hope it took 50 years. So 50 years it took to come to us. Then another 5 to 6 years for us it will be to adapt to it and take everything. So then it will take some time, but of course, it is not impossible.
It is possible. It is possible.
Totally. विजेत सर आप भी कुछ कहना चाहते हैं?
I think we have discussed this point a lot.
Right. So certainly we had a very healthy discussion about like the inclusion and special education provisions in NEP. So thank you so much, Brijesh sir. Thank you so much, Shubham sir, Shashank sir. It was really wonderful having this discussion with you all, and we got to learn a lot of things, especially the keywords from Shashank sir that he had introduced. It was really extremely wonderful. Being discussion with you all. I hope our audience got to learn a lot, and it was really like such a great session, and we came to know about so many initiative that government has taken for these kind of students. So again, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rajini.
ma'am, for
Thank you,
thank you, Ravi,
everyone.
ma'am, for calling us and giving us this platform to speak to. I hope many such we will meet in many such events. Isn't it, Shubham sir and Vijay sir? We'll meet once again.
Sir, thank
Definitely,
you
sir.
so much, sir.
Definitely.
Sure.
Thank
Okay,
you.
sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming,
Thank you,
sir.
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, Rajini.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ravi.
महक मैंने वो मीटिंग एंड कर दी है, खत्म हो गई। अब क्या करना है? ये ब्लैक वाली जो स्क्रीन है ना, हाँ बोलो। आ रहा है, एक सेकेंड।